Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ according to Matthew chapter 17, beginning at the first verse. Jesus took Peter, James, and his brother John, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, Moses and Elijah appeared to them, conversing with him. Then Peter said to Jesus in reply, Lord, it is good that we are here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, behold, a bright cloud cast a shadow over them. Then from the cloud came a voice that said, This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. When the disciples heard this, they fell prostrate and were very much afraid. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, Rise, and do not be afraid. And when the disciples raised their eyes, they saw no one else but Jesus alone. As they were coming down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, Do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. If any one of us were to look back over the past number of years of our lives, we would more than likely be able to identify times when we struggled, when life was difficult, and hopefully we could also recall other times when we were deeply happy and at peace. Many of us might find it easier to identify the more distressing type of experience in our lives. Painful experiences have a way of staying with us long after we have moved on from them. Today's gospel reading, however, invites us to recall those moments in our lives when, in the words of Peter in today's gospel reading, we said, It is wonderful for us to be here. We need to keep remembering those good, life-giving moments and go back to them and keep drawing light from them. What was it about his experience on the mountain that made Peter say at the time, It is wonderful for us to be here? Peter, along with James and John, clearly had some extraordinary experience of Jesus on top of that mountain. Just prior to this memorable moment on the mountain, Jesus had told his disciples that he must undergo great suffering at the hands of his enemies and be put to death by them. There was to be no doubting Jesus' humanity. He was entering fully into the human condition, even to the point of sharing our darkest human experiences, the experience of misunderstanding, rejection, betrayal, undeserved and humiliating suffering and death. However, on the mountain, Peter, James, and John had an experience of the other side to Jesus, his affinity with the heavenly world, his intimacy with God the Father. At this moment, the disciples were made aware of Jesus as God's beloved Son. Jesus' divinity shone through his humanity and somehow transfigured his humanity. Our gospel reading is Matthew's account of this moment in Jesus' life. At the very beginning of Matthew's gospel, the child Jesus is given the name Emmanuel, God with us. In Jesus, God walked among us. But Jesus' full humanity often made it difficult for people to grasp that Jesus was God with us. However, on the Mount of Transfiguration, the disciples were in no doubt that Jesus was indeed God with us.